Good evening, and I would like to call the Budget and Finance Committee June 16th meeting to order. At this time, we'll announce that pursuant to Governor Bill Lee's Executive Order number 16, public meetings are allowed to hold virtual meetings. At this time, I'll ask for a motion to accept the virtual meeting for this evening's meeting.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Johnson.
Second.
Commissioner Piercy. Do we need to call the roll? Okay, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Thank you, and motion carries. I'm sitting in for Chairman Robert P. this evening, and he had asked me to send his gratitude to our Finance Director, Lisa Nolan, and the Deputy to the Finance Director, Mark Tucker, on a kind of what we consider a flawless process here, and they made it that way, their staff, so we certainly appreciate them. Also to Mayor Bill Ketron, Deputy to the Mayor, Steve Sandlin, on the contributions that they made to this budget process. Without these people, it could be much more difficult, and so we appreciate them. Also, I would like to introduce the Budget Committee members to you. Again, Robert P. is our chairman. I'm Trey Gooch, the vice chairman. We have, I think, zooming in, Commissioner Rhonda Allen. We have Commissioner Phil Dodd here, Commissioner Steve Piercy, Commissioner Paul Johnson, and Commissioner Robert Stevens is also zooming in this evening. The purpose of this meeting is to hold a public hearing, but before we do that, just want to make a few announcements, and our Finance Director will have an overview of our budget. The 2021 budget, County Mayor Bill Ketron provided recommendations for these areas of our budget: the General Fund, Solid Waste and Sanitation Fund, our Ambulance Service Fund, Special Purpose Fund, our Drug Fund, and our Industrial Development Fund. So the mayor actually makes recommendations on about 21% of our budget. The budgets that are submitted by other county boards would include the Budget and Finance Committee will submit the Debt Service Fund. This makes up about 8.3% of our budget. The Road Board will make a recommendation on the Highway Fund. This makes up about 1.7% of our budget. The School Board will make recommendations and proposals on the General Purpose School Fund, which is 64.7% of our budget, and our Cafeteria Fund, which is 3.3% of our budget. Also, the School Board will recommend and propose the Educational Capital Projects Fund, which makes up just over 1% of our budget. The Budget and Finance Committee has reviewed, made additional changes. It has made their recommendations to the public. All meetings have been televised on Channel 19. Details of all budgets with the Budget and Finance page at rutherfordcountytennessee.gov. The budget has been published in newspapers, and it is being presented to you tonight, and we are here to accept public comments. But before we do that, I would like to ask our director, Lisa Nolan, for her overview.
Okay, thank you. So we'll start with revenue, and with this slide showing you that we are estimating the appraised values on the properties in the county to be valued at almost $9.9 billion. It's a 2.7% estimated increase over the prior year. We're proposing no tax increase, and the revenues from that, all those assessed values, are prorated the same way as it was in the current year. It's just another picture of the tax rate. If you can see here, that education gets the majority. So with the assessed value at $9.8 billion, a delinquency estimate at 4.5%. We're estimating the taxes from this to be $214,600,957. Of that, the City of Murfreesboro school system is estimated to get $15,272,000. That's equivalent of about almost 16 cents of the tax rate of the $2.2194. About 16 of it goes to the City of Murfreesboro schools. So what is available for the rest of the county government is $199,328,000. We talk about a penny, so as we add additional pennies, 1 cent equates to $966,932. With the school penny being shared, it's estimated their share would be $821,119 for every penny allocated for general purpose schools. So the rest of the money for the budget, where does it come from? Current property tax is 31.4% of all the revenue coming in. Federal government, 2.4%. State of Tennessee is 40.6%, and primarily that is the BEP that's going to schools. Other local revenue makes up 9.4%. So more detail than probably what you need. 11% of the budgets is made up from the local sales tax. So where does the money go? Appropriations, $652,015,770, with 17.37% being to the general fund. Schools and school-related debt make up 75.69% of the appropriations. Debt service, which would include the education portion and the general debt service, make up 8.33% of the total appropriations. So with our estimated revenues and our recommended appropriations to this date, the appropriations exceed the revenues by $28,600,000. Our beginning fund balance for all funds total $164,268,963. With the reduction of the $28.6 million and adjustments, we're estimating our ending fund balance unassigned and assigned to be $135,831,440. So at this point, we're testing our policies. The county general fund minimum fund balance policy is 15%. We are showing that we exceed that. General purpose school has a 3% requirement. We're showing a 6%. Debt service, we like to keep it around 65. We're showing an 88% fund balance. So I just want to speak a little bit on the major operating funds. With these 5 funds make up about 94%, 94.6% of the total budget. In the general fund, the largest portion goes to public safety. And when I speak about public safety, it includes the sheriff, the jail, the workhouse, juvenile detention, building codes, EMA, and fire. Okay, so the general fund, when we're talking about the amended budget, is a decrease of 3.5%, though it's a 1.3% increase over the original budget. There's a net 19 full-time positions in next year's budget. 14 of those relate to public safety. There's no increase in the base tables for those budgets that are in schools or for the county. Total salaries and related benefits for all positions shows an increase of 3.5%. So we're going to be using $9.7 million of fund balance to fund this budget, and that equates to about 10 cents of the property tax. Schools, as you can see there, 94% of is in general purpose school. When we're just talking about the schools, the largest piece of that, of course, is the general purpose school fund budget. They're showing a 0.8 increase over the fiscal year 1920 amended appropriation and a 1.3 increase over the original budget. There's 76.9 positions added, again, no increase to their base table. Their total salary and benefits, including all the positions, is the increase of 1.8%. They are estimating a 6.2% increase for the BEP coming from the state. One interesting point is they will be offering a virtual school for approximately 100 students next fiscal year, be their first year. Now, with this one, they are estimating using $15 million of their fund balance to fund this next year's budget, and that's the equivalent of 18 cents on the current tax. The ambulance fund has a 5.2% increase in total appropriations from the amended 1920 budget. This one includes 8 new positions. There's an increase of salary and benefits, which include that, is 5.1%. Again, this is a fund that it follows the county pay table, and there's no increase to the pay table. In the ambulance fund, their estimated revenues do cover their appropriations. Same with the road and bridge fund. They're showing a reduction of 23.1% from the current year amended budget. That has to do that reduction primarily with the Christiana area road, where they had budgeted $3 million out of their current year for that project. There is nothing in next year's for that project. So I think the plan was if there's any money left over, they'll come back and request that to come back in to the next year. There's only 71 positions in the highway budget. There's no new positions added for 2021. And their salary and benefits are increasing 3.1%. Again, in this budget, their appropriations are fully funded with estimated revenues. The debt service fund, again, we kind of keep talking about education is the largest component of our debt service. It makes sense when you look around and see what we're building. Starting with the current fiscal year, we started with outstanding debt at $461,250,000. We issued $14,610,000 this year for the Motorola Big Communications project. We retired debt of $36,115,000. That started. This will start at the end of this year. Estimated $439,745,000. Again, next year, we have scheduled $36,115,000 to reduce principal. So our estimated debt service as of 6/30/2021 is $403,630,000. There is movement coming from the school board on, I think they'll be presenting requests for additional funding. I put here $85 million. It might exceed that for all projects. So it's not just the schools projects that we'll be borrowing for. It will be some county projects too. That concludes the overview. Commissioner Gooch?
Thank you, Ms. Nolan. Before we get to the public hearing, I would like to acknowledge several of the commissioners who are with us this evening: Commissioner Pettis Reed, Commissioner Wayne Blair, and Commissioner Shanto Chirino for being here, and we really appreciate that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, Chairman P has expressed his gratitude to many people. I would like to express my gratitude to him and the kindness and the professionalism that he has run our meetings this year, and it makes it a pleasure serving on the Budget Committee. Now, as Mrs. Nolan stated, there will be no tax increase this year. When there's no tax increase, not a lot of people show up to our public hearings, but we will conduct that anyway. Our public hearing procedure will be that if you would come to the podium, make your comments. In doing so, we would ask that you state your name and address for the public record. We will ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes, and if we have more, after everyone's spoken, if you want to speak again, we'll allow you to speak again. It's my understanding that we do not have any virtual people signed up to speak. So at this time, is there anyone here tonight who would like to make comments or speak to the budget? Even if you want to say thank you, you can come up and speak. Well, seeing none, I think we've offered enough time. Mr. Mayor, do you have any comments in closing? Anything you would like to say tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's been in spite of everybody being quarantined and COVID and everything else, I think we've worked through this. I just say that we're blessed to be in Rutherford County compared to some of the other counties around the state that I talked to. Fortunately, through this process, our sales tax, I know sales tax numbers statewide came in pretty strong today compared for the last 2 months. I think everybody got a stimulus check, and so, like Mac was saying last week, they were overwhelmed with old TVs because everybody was out buying a new one. And, but we have been blessed. This process has been good. Like you said, Mr. Chairman, when there's not a tax increase, nobody shows up. But when there is, when there's not a tax increase, I guess everybody's participating in their safe distancing and don't want to show up. So anyway, it's been a pleasure working with the Finance Committee, working with the Finance Department, and getting us through this. I think we'll be ready to set the tax rate next week.
Yes, sir.
With the full 21 of us voting a week from Friday, I believe. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under other business, I think that what we wanted to discuss there is to see if we need to hold a meeting on the 18th. We had planned a meeting on the 18th to discuss any comments or concerns that members of the public may have. So I'm guessing that there's no need for this meeting. Chairman P., do you see a need for a meeting on the 18th?
I don't. The whole purpose of this meeting is to let the public air whatever concerns they have, and since we haven't got any to discuss, I would suggest, and I'll make the motion, that we cancel the meeting on the 18th. I think we still got an opportunity to make some changes if we need to. If nothing else, we could the last day. But, that's one less meeting. So I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Dodd, any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gooch?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Motion carries. So our next meeting will be June the 23rd on a Tuesday at 5 p.m.
5:30. 5:30.
5:30.
I'm sorry, 5:30. And this is where we will recommend a tax levy and appropriations, which will be voted on by the full commission on June 26th, Friday at 9 a.m. Any other business to come before the Budget and Finance Committee this evening? If not, we stand adjourned.